Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna give you guys a review for Real Housewives of Potomac. Gosh darn it, what season is this? I believe it's season 5. Thought I was ready. Yeah, season 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and just group together episodes 1 through 10, and I'm gonna say the fight blowout for the very end. It shouldn't even take me that long to get there. So I'm gonna go down the line with the females and just kind of just generally talk about what they have been going through. So we have Candace. I'm really not even sure what her storyline is in general, to be completely honest. I will mention, again, the build up between her and Monique at the very end. So Candace, really not much there. Robin, okay, so you're too big for this house. Why? Because your kids. So her kids tell her that there is not enough space in the house. Yeah, that's not a decision for your kids to make, but she lets the kids run them, cool, whatever. And she has been pushing the issue of marriage. One now wants to marry her, has even went so far as to go to Giselle and kind of talk to her about it, trying to keep everything on a hush hush, trying to surprise her, all that good jazz. So, I mean, she's getting that happy ending that she has been wanting for so long, despite the fact that they have been pretty much acting as a married couple without being a married couple. I wonder if they can even be considered common law at this particular point. So we have Karen. Karen's biggest thing is a loveless marriage, where they are right now. And in the very beginning, it really seemed like, okay, this is just something to have a storyline for the show. But there was a point where they had someone to come in to counsel them. And some of the hard questions were asked. And Karen was asked, are you still in love with Ray? She said, yes. Ray, he wasn't sure. And that didn't sit too well with Karen. And she even said, everyone knows that I'm in love with you but you. She held together for the most part after escorting the counselor out. I guess she forgot that she was still mic'd up and you could hear her breaking down. And this is one of those instances where, again, she was young when they got married. So in essence, Ray had to, in essence, raise her to his hand. And a lot of the times how a marriage begins, or in general how you start things, typically is how things end. Typically, but also at the same time, one thing that I do see is for people that renew their vows frequently, I think that's a beautiful thing, because every couple of years or so, you evolve into a different version of yourself. You're not always going to be the same you that you were 1, 2, 3 years later, which means that if you are evolving as a person, your spouse is evolving as a person, which means that you need to recommit to who this person currently is right now. It's a continuous process. Nothing is ever really linear. So that's kind of where they are right now. And I mean, I can see them getting themselves back to each other, but I can also understand Karen being upset, where it's just like, dude, you was in all this trouble just a year ago. I done sat here, held you down. I done low-key lied for you. I done put some of my money into helping you get out of your financial trouble that had nothing to do with me. And now you don't want to date me no more. You don't want to do all this other stuff. So I understand her frustration. I do. Let's see who else we can hit on. So we have Wendy. Wendy is mother of a newborn. She has 3 children total, but has a newborn baby girl and is dealing with that. Also, she's dealing with not wanting to go back to teach because she has a plethora of degrees and whatnot. And I know a lot of people hate the fact that she brings this up, but here's one thing that I want to say, because I can understand it, and I do understand that can be a point of contention for some people. But I'll use myself as an example. Like I said, I just recently exited the United States Army after 11 years. I am 33 years old. So I did 11 years in the military. That is 1/3 of my life. And that's pretty much my adulthood. So something that I spent 1/3 of my life doing has definitely shaped me. Definitely. That's always going to be an integral part of me. And now that I'm having to reintegrate into not only being a civilian, but also trying to somewhat mesh with my relatives, it's going to be different. And a lot of them don't like to hear me bring up the fact that, yes, I am a prior service member. Because to them, it's just like, here we go with this again. But it's like, you kind of have to understand, like, again, this is 1/3 of my lifespan right here. So, yes, this has truly molded me. And these are my adult years. So I can understand someone who is constantly in school for all of this time. Yes, that is going to mold you. And again, that is part of your identity. It just is what it is. And, hey, sometimes you got to sit here and, put it on the table. And if you don't, and if you don't like it, hey, you won't have to be around that person. But I get it. It can't come off as a bit braggadocious, but hey, whatever. But at the same time, though it does come off braggadocious, it's also something where people have to ask themselves where, if it's really getting to me, is it because this person's coming off as braggadocious, or is it because I'm envious of this person because they have accomplished all of this in addition to being a wife, where their identity is not necessarily dependent upon them just being a wife or a mother or whatever, where she actually has an identity outside of what most of these housewives actually have. And then she also has this thing of her goals versus the goals of her parents, where her reaching this level of education, because she's Nigerian, her parents are Nigerian, that whole thing where a heavy emphasis was put on her, being a doctor, all this other stuff, where pretty much the parents are vicariously living their dreams through their children. And now she's trying to figure out what it is that she wants to do. Some people don't understand it. I mean, I understand that, Like I said, I did, before joining the military, my first 3 years was in college. Not to say that I didn't want to go to college, but I wanted to go into the armed services. Like, that is what my mind was set on. And those 3 years were, enjoyable in terms of the friendships and whatnot that I built, but it didn't make me happy, because I'm sitting here doing something fulfilling what someone else wants me to do, rather than me doing what I actually wanted to do. So I can understand that particular struggle. All right, so then we have Giselle. Giselle, what she's dealing with is being back with Jamal and her kids not really seeing it for her. And what is so funny is, one thing that people really have to understand is, the younger a child is, the more, spiritually connected that child is. So when you do like 2, 3, 4-year-olds, sometimes even babies, they can sense a person's energy. They can tell if a person ain't no good more often than not. It's something about them where it's just like they can see through the BS. You feel what I'm saying? But what is unique in this situation is Jamal is the father of, their girls. And the fact that they don't see it for him and this is the father should really be alarming, which makes me believe to a certain extent, like, is this really, is this for play? Because one part of me is like, okay, this is nothing but a storyline. But then the other part is, well, if we're going to be honest, a lot of Giselle's, claim to fame was being a pastor's wife. And, apparently she wasn't that great of a pastor's wife at that. But that's not here nor there. So it really makes you wonder. And of course, yes, your happiness should be paramount, this and the third. Kids will eventually get over it. But if these kids have an issue with the man that you are dating, and that man is their father, there is something there. There is something in the water, and you should not necessarily neglect, the feelings and the emotions of the children, because a lot of the times, and I'm pretty sure many of us, we probably, can attest to this as children, we see shit that sometimes our parents don't necessarily see, for whatever reason. And if your kids are this alarmed, not just at the dude, but again, this is their father, something just ain't quite clicking with this particular storyline between them. So I got some pause about that. And then also Giselle won a literary award for a book that she wrote about her community peen husband, ex-husband. And she got an award for that. Yet you back with the person that not only cheated on you before y'all got married, but during the marriage with congregants and whatnot. But okay. We have Ashley. She is a new mother, period. So where Wendy is the mother of a newborn, Ashley is actually a new mother. her first time going through this. She has said during the birthing process that her behind was somewhat ruptured. So dealing with that, dealing with being a mother, and trying to, I guess, help please Michael and whatever the hell it is that he is doing. Michael is still out doing Michael, not necessarily caring about her. But what is funny is that even though I do feel that Ashley has feelings for him, because how long they've been married, these feelings do come with time, but she all about the bag. She all about securing the bag, because they even had discussion seasons ago about redoing the prenup, and she did, and I'm pretty sure that she was waiting that time out. And I think if they haven't already reached the end, they're about to reach the end. Now she has a child, so right there's going to be child support and everything. With that, she's obviously going to have primary custody, especially with the craziness that he's doing that is being captured and thrown in his face. Yeah, she's definitely going to get custody. I believe she's pregnant yet again, so that's 2 checks right there. And Michael got caught slipping yet again, which at first I really thought that one of 2 things: either this is for a storyline, or B, this is him trying to sit here and change the narrative of him, touching on men's asses and all that other stuff. Don't really know, don't really care, but you're caught out there. And she even said, well, I think we should discuss having a post-nup. And so instead of prenuptial agreement, well, let's have one after the fact, because I think she is either at that point where I almost lost my pen, where she either is entitled, like she's met the term, or she's about to. But one thing is, she wants to post up to clearly define that if I leave because you out here raw dogging, this is exactly what I'm getting. Because if it's not there, but again, there is this prenup, he can actually have her tied up, in litigation, all this other stuff. So she's trying to work through that. She ain't stupid. I'm gonna give it to Ashley. She ain't stupid, okay? She about that bottom line, make sure she taken care of, this, that, and third. One thing I do want to mention is I found it to be funny that her mother was trying to give her marital advice, which, look, parents gonna be parents, they gonna give advice. I'm appreciative that Ashley did not clown her mother, because I would have been like, I don't know how you gonna give me advice when old boy had you sleeping. You know what, I'm not going there. I'm going to get to the last housewife. The last housewife is Monique. Her particular storyline is 2 things. One, the whole reciprocity in their relationship between her and Chris. And it's one of those where when she does things, there's a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of energy that goes into doing for him. But when he needs to do for her, rather than putting in that time and the energy, he just throws money at the situation. And this stupid light that went on. Okay, I'm gonna just do it without the light. It is what it is. It's okay. We'll just brighten up my face. But that is something that she is dealing with. That particular thing with them, that is definitely something that they need to work through. But at the same time, going back to what I was saying earlier, the way you start a marriage is sometimes how you end it. But if you start right here, unless y'all are working to get better, things are pretty, especially whoever holds the power in their relationship pretty much wants to keep things where it's at. So more than likely, Chris wants to keep her where she was when they first got together. Is it right? No, but it is understandable. Also, her business not for lazy moms. She had to put a lot of stuff on the back burner when she got pregnant with her current child. And she was racking up expenses. I am never want to sit here and count somebody's coins and whatnot, but I do think that Monique probably counted her chickens before the eggs actually hatched. I think that's what happened. Where I get it, being a YouTuber and whatnot and wanting things to be better. Like right now, I'm recording off of my GoPro mostly due to the fact that I am in the middle of cleaning, getting ready for Shabbat, which is tomorrow, but I like to start cleaning a day ahead, and I'm also going to have company over and whatnot. So, yeah, things aren't everywhere, and trust me, between trying to find SD card, set up the lights, and all that stuff, I ain't got it to do. But as you grow, you want things to get better, but you can always start at a starting place. So she's dumped a lot of money into this, and Chris is kind of looking at her like, okay, well, you gonna have to get it together. Which I would like to think that she's using her Housewives of Potomac money to fund this venture, but she needs to kind of, really get a grip on it and probably get meet with a consultant so she can map this thing out. And I hope she has a business plan in place that she's following and all the other stuff. But all right, so that right there is the big shit. That's pretty much everybody's storyline condensed into 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and let's really tackle the bullshit. So on one hand, we have, before I get to Monique and Candace, you have Candace and Ashley. So they got into it last season and whatnot. There was the issue of the knife and the throwing of the knife by Candace because Ashley left her house and they came back in after she was told to leave, and Candace being in a bit of rage, which I think a lot of us can understand that frustration. I understand that frustration. I do. If I ask you to leave, damn it, you need to leave, But there are other ways that she could have went about handling the situation. But again, in the heat of the moment, you really can't tell somebody how to act. And at the same exact time, what I find to be so funny is everyone, one thing that I don't like is when someone does wrong by somebody and then now you or people want to dictate how that person responds. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. So in that instance, it just is what it is. And what I also find to be funny is because everybody was, trying to classify Candace as being, a little bit too ratchet given that situation. But here's something that I'm going to say. Not to say that the women have to get involved, but if you saw her coming back in and y'all knew that was going to pose a problem, y'all could have easily made it to where she did not come back in. But of course you let it happen because you need the drama for the ratings. Let's not be stupid about this. There was Basketball Wives LA, the very first season, and there was a fight going on between one of the Govan sisters and somebody else, I forget. And a fight literally broke out, and one of the ladies just sat there, and I believe she was eating her food, sipping a drink, and Malaysia came back yelling at her like, why aren't you helping? Because that ain't got shit to do with me. that situation over there ain't got shit to do with me. I'm going to stay the fuck right here, yet all the other ladies were trying to stay here and separate it. So you pick and choose. If y'all didn't want, but at the same time, you can clearly see when things are getting ready to escalate. And if you are a bystander and you want to sit here and try to paint this picture of people should not be acting a certain way, you have the ability to intercept before things get to that tipping point. Just going to throw that out there. They for the most part hash things out to a certain degree, but there was a point where they all sat down for dinner, and it's so funny that everyone, especially Giselle and Robin, loves to do this whole thing of trying to make people apologize and want things to be done on their terms, more or less. Giselle, because she, for the most part, I guess we just gonna call her, she is the HBIC of this particular franchise, where she is the narrator, puppet master, all of that stuff right there. It's just interesting how that goes, and them trying to sit here and force an apology out of her. Now, I want to keep this in mind, because the whole forcing someone to apologize is going to come up momentarily, but in that moment, obviously, that did not happen between Candace and Ashley. So now we have the Monique and Candace. So to back this up, this all started back when Monique was pregnant, and she and Candace got into it. I forget over what, don't really care. And it was in that moment that Monique was saying, pretty much said, do you want me to drag you? I will drag you, pregnant and all. And a lot of people had a thing to say, oh my gosh, a pregnant person. Like, look, again, I'm not gonna sit here and tell somebody how to act, and especially me being a dude, I can't have kids, so I'm not gonna sit here and dictate how a woman is supposed to act when she's being pregnant. Not gonna do all of that. There are certain things where, now, it is kind of crazy you would put your soon-to-be child in this compromising position, but hey, her body, her situation, let them deal with it. They get to the reunion, they eventually get over it. Now, Monique and Charisse ended up falling out. So this is about to come up too. So they didn't fell out. Well, Candace ends up befriending her, which I find to be very interesting because when when Candace first came on the scene, she actually got into a verbal spats with damn near all the girls, one being Charisse, which, I mean, I don't care what anybody say, that interaction between them was so funny, where she, you know, she was just like, they're going back and forth, and Monique had said, okay, we don't want Shot to come out, and then Candace like, you don't want Candace to come out, because, you know, I don't have to, I'm gonna just come out, you know, and just the, you know, rapid fire. She's like, where did you come from? I came from Jesus, you know, just the witty comebacks, you know. So y'all had this, you know, y'all bumping heads. So the fact that you are now friends is a little bit vexing to me. Not even a little bit, it really is. Not to say that people can't get over their issues, but if you were cool with Monique, you know why Monique and Charisse are not cool. You have actually fallen out with Charisse, and now you befriend her. This is one of those where it's just like, okay, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to befriend your enemy. That right there is some real snake shit. And, you know, like I said, especially for, and it's not really a hood thing, but especially for those who are hood and nature, grew up in the hood and whatnot, there are certain, you know, rules of the hood, that being one of them, like to sit here and befriend my enemy on some shit like that. And why are you doing it? And you're only doing it because you're trying to agitate somebody, like, let's be honest. So Candace has a year anniversary, and everybody making this big deal about them not having a honeymoon. Hey, that's their business. It is what it is. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of having a big ass wedding and whatnot to include a honeymoon, where why are you going to sit here and put yourself in debt before everything starts? So before you even get married, you already starting out in debt. How about putting this money towards a house and all this other stuff? Not in that particular situation, but just in general. And then once you become financially stable, then you save with the money. Then how about you have, you know, a big old wedding ceremony and whatever. Again, I'm a different type of dude, whatever. But she invites Charisse to this. I say, sure, her name is Charisse. My boy Alexander Rogers, he calls her Charisse, which is, I watch Alex a whole lot. But anyway, she invites her and does not extend that offer, does not let Monique know, and they're trying to rebuild their friendship. So you can't say, and then when Candace sat down with Ashley, with all the girls there, because it was Ashley's first night out, when the girls were trying to make Candace apologize to Ashley, it even came up then where Monique whole thing is, why didn't you let me know? And what's her name? Candace whole thing is, well, I didn't know that the issues were that deep. Bullshit. She knew. But again, she's trying to play, and then in the confessional, which are always shot after the fact, she says, well, what happened between was like 2 years ago, so you did know. And she's like, well, it happened back then, so it doesn't matter. Again, you people cannot put timelines on when people need to get over shit. It does not work like that. But this is Candace trying to defend her actions. Not just that, this is some behind the scenes stuff that really isn't being talked about, but the girls were conspiring, more or less, Giselle, Robin, and Candace, to try to take Monique down. And Giselle wanted to go the route of this rumor that Charisse was saying that the baby, Monique's baby actually is that of her personal trainer. And Candace says that's never going to fly because of the fact that the baby looks just like her husband. Now, after and this conversation was held, let me see, what's her name? Karen and Ashley were privy to this. They both let Monique know, like, hey, this is being said, but your quote-unquote friend, Candace, ain't said nothing about it. And again, her only defense is going to be, when this all finally blows up, is, well, I said that, you know, it wouldn't, the baby looked like Chris, but you're still conspiring. And as a friend, you know, yeah, it's good that she defended her, but why didn't you come back and tell me what was being said? Now, Monique's whole thing is she didn't want to bring any light to it. So that's why you don't really hear her talk about it, yet Giselle is hinting towards it. The fucked up thing is, because she's not addressing it, whether it be off camera or on camera, is this is sitting in the back of your mind. And one thing that I've learned, especially dealing with my relatives, is when you don't deal with a problem head on and you just sweep shit under the rug, it will remanifest itself either in the same exact way or in a different way through a different situation, circumstances, whatever. And this is what is happening with Monique. And rather than Monique addressing Candace, preferably off camera, since she did not want to bring this out, she never mentioned it. She never said anything about it. So now you have all these issues with this girl. Not only y'all getting into it, like a year ago, not only her befriending your ex-best friend, her also being in the middle of this ploy to literally destroy your marriage and take you down, all for what? Ratings sake. I can understand why Monique is upset. It's a culmination. And then at the same exact time, she does have her issues with Chris, and obviously she can't physically take her problems out on her husband. But these are all things. And people love to do the whole, well, I didn't do anything to contribute, yet you totally overlook all of the webs and all the weaving of the bullshit that you do in the background. But, and I'm saying all of this, and there's more, but that's just a nice little, okay, here's the situation. And then there was also the lake house where Monique invited all of them to the lake house. And there was a point where everybody was leaving. To me, it appeared that Monique was asleep. Again, I don't know. And Candace took it as she's pretending to sleep to not say goodbye to me. Which, again, these are all situations that, again, you can't tell somebody when to sit here and resolve anything, but because you're not choosing to address it at all, you're being very passive aggressive about it. And eventually, things are only going to build up so long before, boom, they combust. Or not combust, explode, implode, whatever the hell you want to use. So all of that to say, Giselle wins this literary award for a book about, her, community, ex-husband. Brings all the girls to this winery. I do want to mention there are other people at the winery, because this is going to come up momentarily. Brings them to this winery, and again, it's all about her. And one thing that's so funny that I forgot to mention this is I don't understand how people don't see the role that Giselle plays on this show, because from the very first episode of this season, she is literally like, Monique decided to try to be cool with her in spite of knowing what was going on behind the scenes, because this is still a job. So trying to sit here and be cordial on the job, and we all to a certain degree have been some level of fake on a job, so that's what that is. But the fact that she wasn't really picking up that Giselle is purposely putting these little nuggets in your head so you can sit here and act on it. And also, before I even truly dive into the whole winery thing, I also want to mention Giselle don't like Monique. Monique don't like Giselle. And Giselle been gunning for Monique since she said she has 4 houses. But I can't sit here and pretend like Monique did not have a hand to play in fucking with her, because her bringing Sherman's ex-girl and whatnot on the show. Now, whether or not Giselle was really into Sherman, again, that who's to say? But I'm gonna be honest, this whole entire time Giselle been playing, chess while Monique is playing checkers. I mean, let's call a thing a thing. And that's going to come up at the very, very end. So, back to this winery. So, Ashley is there. They bring up Michael and, him doing what he do. And Ashley pretty much, said, hey, it is what it is. We used to have threesomes, this, that, and the third. I don't know if she was volunteering the information because something else was going to come up, or that was her way of just trying to say, hey, we've done this before and he just did it without me, whatever the case may be. So he's finally off of her. It is at this point that Ashley asks if Candace and Monique are okay. And it is at this point that Candace, has a knife that she's waving around. You can see Wendy kind of doing this whole thing of, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And they're trying to somewhat talk. They have been drinking, mind you. And this whole entire time, and they're still pretty much at this makeshift table on opposite sides. She's tapping the wine glass and making all this noise while Monique is trying to talk to her, somewhat aggressively, but still trying to talk to her. You have Candace that is, yelling and speaking over her. Okay? Now, all of this is very passive aggressive. I don't care what anybody says. It's very passive aggressive. And then she then goes from standing right there to kind of like twirling around, moving away. Now she has gone from being at this table, being passive aggressive, to now moving away from the table. And then the whole being sleep comment comes up, and Monique was like, well, you're not a kid, so you don't know. And then she's like, well, you're mom shaming. And what I believe Monique is trying to say is, and before I get to that, for anyone that has ever thrown parties, get-togethers, soirees, especially elaborate ones, where not only are you cooking food, you're trying to get the house together and all this other stuff, and being an actual host or hostess, because it's one thing to have a party and it's just food and whatnot and you're not interacting with people. It's another thing when you're actively engaging everybody, making sure that everyone's okay and all this other stuff, and there's games. I understand it. I've hosted many, especially in the military, and you're trying to make sure that everybody's happy because it's your party, it's your event. So I can understand the preparation, then the execution. By the time it's all done, it's just like, I am tired. Know the feeling. So that's why I say she could have been sleeping. Don't know. But again, that was a point of contention that could have been brought up instead of being brought up now. And that is something that really does irk me when it comes to some people, because again, I deal with this currently where certain people, I guess I do something and that makes you feel a way, and I'm really not that hard of a person to talk to. My thing is just don't yell at me, because you yell at me and I start yelling back, it's gonna get disrespectful real quick. But if there's an issue, all you gotta do is just come and tell me, be like, hey, y'all, woo wop de woo. Okay, cool. I can fix that, rather than waiting for something else for you get mad about something else, and now in addition to you being slightly upset about this, you're really mad about something else that is the force behind it. And I've had to tell people, like, okay, well, if this was an issue, you could have said something weeks ago, rather than waiting for this right here to sit here and spearhead it. Well, we could have squashed this shit about 5 weeks ago and we will be all to the good, but you don't want to do that. As that's something that I'm dealing with, but I'm not going to go into details. So all of this is going on, and then Monique is just like, okay, shut it down, this, that, and third. And then let me also say, I'm not saying that Monique was not. Now, Monique was being aggressive in her stance and what it is that she's saying. You have somebody that's being passive aggressive. Now, Candace has gone from being at this makeshift table to putting distance between them. Now she walks back up. If you know anything about, human or just nature in general, you're closing the gap. Now, it's one thing that we started right here. You put distance. Now you walk back up. Yes, that right there. Come on now. It's just like two people sitting down and one person stands up. Now you're going for a dominant stance. It's all the same exact thing. That right there can be used to provoke someone. And then you clearly see Candace do the whole hand thing. And here's the thing, I talk with my hands. I do. I try to make sure that, since I do talk with my hands and I'm very animated, I do make sure there's this between me and someone else, because I don't want someone to think, that I'm, getting all this with my hands. Because some people are like, well, someone's hand is just in your face. Yes, but they are invading in your personal space, which is very threatening, because you don't know what someone's going to do. Granted, I'm just saying, you never know what someone is going to do. It is at this point that now Monique has her hands in Candace's face. Then she begins to flick her hair. Now this is when things actually have now turned to the physical route, which in this moment, had Candace hauled off and beat the brakes off Monique could not be mad, because you physically touched her. There's a point where someone somewhat pushes Monique, And we later see that there was a point where, what's her name? Candace grabs Monique's jacket or whatever. These two things combined triggered her. And yeah, she went to grabbing on the hair. Wop, 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 bop, bop, bop. Is what it is. And everyone is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. There's one point where it looked like Robin was smiling at the fact that this was going on, because I think it was the whole, okay, checkmate, we got this heifer. And at some point, wine got splashed in her face. It appeared that somebody, I won't say they just threw it in her face, but I guess maybe just like erupted in a moment. Don't really know, don't really care. Candace takes the glass. At some point, Monique's lip is cut. The girl, and when I tell you Monique had a grip on that hair, she had a grip on their hair. They are separated. Monique tries, and while they're separated, you have Candace still being loud, calling her a hood rat. I even think she probably said hood rat ass bitch or whatever. The hood rat came out, and it's okay. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't just take your licks, but you are constantly talking shit, which is further adding fuel to the fire. Monique tries to get at her, could not, and now everybody has their feelings on it, and I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into it momentarily. Everyone, let me see, Candace goes to therapy, where she's not accepting any fault in this, where clearly there is a timeline of her doing things to help get us to this tipping point. Okay, and even within that moment of her, having the knife, doing this, imagine this is a glass right here, doing all of this, that all started. And then over talking someone. This is all creating that tension at the same exact time with the girls, because I'm going to get to how they feel about this momentarily. Y'all saw this rapidly getting worse and worse and worse, yet nothing is done. And to Candace's defense, there have been times that Monique has tried to engage her, and Candace has done the mature thing and removed herself from the situation. I think with this particular one, drinks were involved, so now it's, rather than being rational, F it, I'm gonna just sit here and I'm gonna just play it up. All right. But she's in counseling, Candace, and is not accepting any responsibility for anything that she has done. But I'm going to be honest, I think this is one of those, let me go to counseling, let me sit here and let me try to paint the narrative. Because honestly, Monique should have went. Because at this point, it needs to be strategy. At this point, she should have been thinking strategy, but she wasn't. And Candace has already met with the girls. Monique reaches out to Karen because she wants to meet with all of them at a neutral place, which would end up being Karen's house, so they can just kind of like discuss things, and she get a grip on it because she doesn't remember everything. Now, there were points immediately following the altercation that she is recalling things, and she even said that she blacked out. I can't say that she did if she didn't. I will say, yeah, I've been in my share of altercations. I'm not gonna say that I've blacked out, but I can say that I've had an out-of-body experience almost, to where I'm so enraged, it's just literally what is going on, but then there is part of me that I am seeing what's going on, and then I finally snap back into, and I kind of release myself from what the fuck is going on. The thing is, the fights that I've been in, for the most part, I do remember, but sometimes you do black out and you don't remember things, or in the heat of the moment, you are recalling things, and we're not going to sit here and pretend that as time goes on that we don't remember every fucking detail about something, okay? Like I said, hell, I mean, again, with me being in the military for 11 years and all that other stuff, my short-term memory is not that fucking great, so I forget shit like that. It is just what it is. So Monique's not able to necessarily, piece together all the different pieces of the puzzle. So when the girls all meet up, she's trying to, try to get some clarity. The girls, for the most part, aren't having it. Ashley is still rocking with Monique, so is Karen. Karen's whole thing is both of these heifers was wrong. She even said that to Monique. You were wrong in the part that you played, but I'm not going to throw you away. Nor was Ashley trying to throw her away. And I think part of it is because she don't really fuck with Candace like that, despite the fact they somewhat patch things up. With Robin doesn't see it for her because of one particular piece of her retelling the story, where she claims that it was red wine that was thrown on her when it was actually white wine. Well, no, I'm saying the color of the wine, but Candace actually had white wine, not red wine. So it's this whole thing of, okay, I don't believe you because of this one particular thing. Giselle, when me saying that she has been playing chess, is she has literally been, keeping a record of every time that Monique has made a threat or gotten physical. But what I find to be so funny is, so we don't bring up the fact that Candace has done these things. We're really not going to bring up the fact that her best friend, Robin, has damn near wanted to beat the brakes off of Ashley. But because Monique has said, well, you said that you would do this, and then you actually did this, where people talk shit. It happens. The difference is, Monique is about that motherfucking life, and damn it, Candace wasn't. You feel what I'm saying? Hey, look, Candace was selling, whoop tickets, and guess what? Monique purchased one, and it is what the fuck it is. And yes, again, I am a hood dude. I'm back in the hood where the fuck I grew up, helping out my moms and whatnot. But again, it's certain shit, and it's 5 different types of people, y'all. Since we talking, 5 different types of people. You got people that can't fight, that know they can't fight. You got people that can't fight. You got people that can't fight, know they can't fight, and don't really want to get into bullshit. You got people that can't fight, know they can't fight, but they'll still fucking fight you. They know they're gonna lose, but fuck it, it is what. Then you got people that can fight, that for the most part choose not to fight because they ain't trying to go there. You got people that can fight, and shit, if the wind, blow too hard, they ready to sit here and swing on the motherfucker. Then you got the person that's dead slap in the middle that don't really fucking know. So you pick and choose where the fuck people are in these particular situations. And again, I'll be honest, for what Candace got, did she deserve all of what she got? No, she really did. But again, Monique was mad. It is what it is. This is where we are. Plus, at the same exact time, I do feel, hey, you sit here and agitate and provoke a situation. It is what it is. Now, I'm on both sides. I really am. Because I'm one that I can fight with my words. I know how to sit here and get you to a point where you want to fight me. The difference is, I'm all for the scrapping. I don't want to go there, but fuck it. If we finna go there, we finna fucking go there. I know that I can sit here and make people want to fight me. But you can't sit here and say that people don't sit here and fuel the flames. And some people will also say, if people's words bring you out of your body, then that shows a lack of intelligence on your part, to where you don't have the capacity, the ability, and the aptitude to be able to vocalize what it is you're saying, because your first instinct is to sit here and go ham on somebody. Whatever. I feel bad for Monique only because of the fact that, had she just been forthcoming with everything, we probably wouldn't even gotten to this point. But because she was trying to be the bigger person and not address shit that was going on behind the scenes, it got to a point of no return. Again, nobody's hands are clean in this. And even when it comes to the ladies, again, there were many different instances where they could have intervened and kept it from getting to a certain particular place. Case in point, I have a story. Korea. Anybody that's ever been in the military, been in Korea, know, hey, you got many stories coming from there. Hanging out with a buddy that I knew from Fort Worth, Alabama, and he actually, ended up coming to Camp Humphreys, South Korea. He and I, we go out, to kick it and whatnot. He brings his roommate. He's like, yeah, my roommate seems like a cool dude. All right, cool, whatever. His roommate could not hold his liquor, which this was very upsetting. We're all non-commissioned officers. Very upsetting. And it got to a point where I'm just trying to get this dude back on base, to get him in his room, to be done with the situation, because he's like, all right, you fucking up my buzz right now. Like, I can't even enjoy being drunk right now because you sit here acting a plum fool. We get in the cab line again. For anybody that been, again, if you've been to Korea, cab, especially at the hump, cab lines and being on the bus is one of them 2 instances where, fights probably gonna break out. Where, this dude who's a non-commissioned officer is getting into it with a junior soldier over what I don't really fucking remember. And unfortunately, I had to sit here and turn my rank on, which I don't like doing. especially out of uniform, especially being intoxicated. So I had to turn to the soldier, because not only do I know the soldier, it's like, okay, I can clearly reach him and not this drunk son of a bitch right here. And I said to him, like, Detroit, he was like, yeah, but I'm like, do you fuck it? He was like, yeah. I'm like, get the fuck in the cab and go. Funny thing is, that was our cab. I pretty much don't get the fuck in the cab and go to de-escalate this situation, because it was about to get to a point of no return where I wouldn't have been able to help nobody. And again, I'm intoxicated, just like I'm not as far going as old boy is, but I was good enough to where I saw that it was about to happen and I de-escalated the fucking situation. I say all that to say these women could have done the same exact thing. There's no fucking excuse. They did the shit for radio. Let's call a thing a fucking thing, damn it. I'm trying to see, is there anything else that I want to talk about before I get to the last thing that really fucking upset me? If I miss something, look, y'all know we can always talk about this shit in the comment section. And then there's one other thing that I want to fucking talk about. Excuse me. First off, I'm not mad at Giselle for what the fuck she did. Again, you come at me, I'm very calculated. So I get what she did, why she did it. I ain't mad at that. What I am mad at, I'm mad at Wendy. I'm mad at all the girls because they're trying to do the whole, okay, well, we're black women and this and this and this. First and foremost, these damn rules that are on us as African Americans. First and foremost, let's stop with the color shit. Okay? Because especially for someone like Wendy, who is so educated, you should know that black and white was not a thing until slavery times. Okay? And then if you go back to Europe, before the original settlers came over to what is now America, is the connotation of what is white and what is black, because white is seen as pure, black is seen as bad. I mean, you got the black plague, the black death, the black this, the black that. Look up, go in history, look it up, you will see it. So now we have, you know, slaves and slave masters where, yes, they ended up doing the whole white black thing, but that wasn't until they started to see that the Irish that were there, is debatable whether they were slaves or indentured servants. That again, I don't know, don't really care at this point, but the Irish that were there and the Africans that were there were starting to, you know, link up, and the slave master saw that, so they decided to sit here and do the whole, okay, well, hey, they're black, we're white. This whole thing of being white, it didn't exist until fucking slavery times. And the whole thing of being white is let's increase the numbers and let's cause a further divide. That is what this is. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, because that's another conversation for another day. I say all that to say is, first and foremost, for her to be so educated, well, us as black women, sweetheart, it's African American. Let's call a thing a thing. Let's get away from this color bullshit. African American, European American. Okay? Let's start there. Number one. Number two, this whole seat at the table. First and foremost, let's be very clear. This whole seat at the table bullshit is just that. It's bullshit. Y'all realize it's bullshit. I will explain to you why. Because if you look at history, no matter what African Americans have done, it was never good enough. People say, oh, well, if African American young men stop sagging and doing this, there's a point in time in history African Americans were wearing suits and whatnot, and we were still being lynched in our suits. Where we were sitting here conducting ourselves as true businessmen and businesswomen, still being lynched, still being murdered, still being hunted down, still being hosed. So, and it's one of those where I'm not getting it. And her whole seat at the table is all about, you know, the veil of inclusion, which is just that, is a fucking veil. Because being inclusive is one of those things that has, I'm gonna be honest, it has really hurt the African American community, because we can sit here and discuss what segregation was and whether or not it should have been abolished, but under segregation is when a lot of African Americans were actually, you know, they profited a lot from that. Granted, it hurt, yes, but because of that, especially in, you know, the Deep South, many African Americans had, you know, their own bus lines, barbershops, this and that, their own football league, and because they wanted to sit here and be included, they sold a lot of what they had just to sit here and be a part of something. And what they didn't realize is that what they thought that, okay, I'm gonna get a nice little cash grab off of this and we're gonna be included, but look at us now. Because a lot of these major bus companies we don't own. the baseball and football leagues, where are we now? So this whole trying to be included, come on now, and this whole having a seat at the table, this is what you want. Okay, and you are also the same person that at the table that has actually called at least one of the females a bitch and was also deemed as being aggressive because you weren't able to bring your child to a party, which, well, not party, but to the whole girls night out. I missed talking about it. Screw it, I'm not gonna bring it up now. But you were deemed as being aggressive. So because they were deeming you as aggressive, you as a dark-skinned African-American woman, then you turn around and put that on another African-American woman? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? When I tell you there is so much that we can truly unpack from this, if it comes down to it and the conversation is really stirred in the comment section, I can actually do another video, possibly even go live, and we can sit here and break this thing down like a fraction. But that's just it. I really ain't got nothing else more to say. Like, when it comes to the particular situation, look, both females in question, Candace and Monique, equally as wrong. Both of them have issues with the other person that they were not dealing with, stuff that happened behind the scenes they could have easily rectified, but they chose not to do. My only thing for Monique is, one, I hope she doesn't get kicked off this show, because again, we not gonna sit here and act like Candace should, because if that's the case, then they should kick Candace ass off for the little stunt she did with Ashley. Call it a thing. But I hope moving forward, if they do keep Monique, which I do hope they do keep Monique, don't let yourself be too easily played, because you should have saw the forest from the trees, sweetheart, but you didn't. All right. And then also, just in general, look, don't be selling whoop tickets if you ain't about that motherfucking life. Point blank, ND period. Because what everybody needs to understand is you may be affluent, you may be very eloquent, well spoken, all this other stuff, and you can fight with your words, and you might have grown up that way. Guess what? Everybody comes from a different walk of life. Doesn't mean that we all gonna react the same way. When I joined the military, I had to unlearn a lot of what I learned, one from this patriarchal society and one from where I grew up. I had to unlearn a lot of that. There were instances where I was getting into verbal altercation with people, and I had to quickly realize, okay, they did not grow up like I grew up, so I really can't hold some of this against them to a certain extent. But look, that's all I got. I ain't got no more to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will try to be more regular with the videos and whatnot. But again, you know, right now I'm just working on myself, and also just working on trying to get this area that I live in right now to truly be a peaceful place for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's keep the conversation going down in the comments. What I will say is, let's just be respectful. I'm cool if you sit here and you come with my neck. I don't really care. What I don't want is, please do not go at each other in the comments like that. Like, you, like I said, because it's funny, especially for those who want to sit here and go at Monique for being a banshee and a hood rat because she can't use her word. Well, then let us use our words in the comments. Again, if you want to come at me, I don't care. Just don't come at, you know, my other subscribers that have been rocking with it, brother. You feel what I'm saying? Because, yeah, you more than likely get blocked. Okay. So, yeah, that's all that I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys on this video, which will more than likely be the upcoming episode of this. Also, I am probably going to upload some videos of me playing Pokemon Sword or Shield with the Owl of Armor, because I think in a week or two the Crown Tundra is coming out, so I actually do want to do gameplay of that when it actually drops. So look out for that. Let me know if you guys want that, because I want to just go ahead and just incorporate a whole lot of other stuff into this channel. So yeah, that's all I got. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.